Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Far Point Farms, and today we'll be doing something that's a little overdue to be done, considering it's already January. We've already had about 4 good snowstorms up here, but it's time to drop the deck on my garden tractor here, and then put the snowplow on. This video will only cover taking the deck off. You know, if you've got a garden tractor, whether it's a Craftsman or Husqvarna, the deck is, you know, obviously probably your main reason for buying the mower, so you can mow. But if you want to be able to do gardening, or if you want to be able to snowplow or use a tractor scoop, the deck becomes kind of a hindrance. So this is something you're going to have to do a few times a season. And I'll show you. It's a little heavy, it's a little dirty. This one's been driven through the mud today because we're getting some rain, getting ready to get more snow. But it's not a lot. You will actually only need a few tools. You'll need a ratchet to get this front bolt off on the GTs. The rest of it is just pins, which is really kind of nice. And I'll show some still frame pictures as I work. Plus I'll try to get the camera up in there and show you what's going on. So let's get started.
This is a GT52XLSI. It's got the fabricated deck. And that's one of the main reasons this one's such a hassle to take on and off. That deck weighs a ton. Okay, not literally a ton, but it's quite heavy. Compared to the stamped decks or even the reinforced stamped decks, you're looking at probably an extra 100 pounds. Other than that, though, the process is the same. So if you have you know, a lesser model or a fancier model, chances are if the deck is off a garden tractor, this process is going to be the same. So the very first thing, if it's still warm enough in your area, would be to probably wash everything out. Unfortunately, our water is frozen right now. Not inside the house, but the outside water is froze up. And that's normal. So I kind of got to go with this disgusting mess I've got here. So the first step you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lower the deck all the way down to its lowest position. That'll give you a little better access once we get up underneath here. So that's it. Start with that. And now I'm going to set the camera back up and I'll show you how to take off the front bolt. Okay, so directly up under here you'll see this. Right? That's the front bolt that holds the front bracket that holds the front of the mowing deck in place. So we have to take that off. The reason, even though you can slide it out from around the deck, you need to take it off is because if you don't, when you take it off, it'll lay down flat here and you'll drag across the ground. If it does that, catches a stump when you're in reverse, it'll bend it, break it, damage it. We don't want that. So unfortunately, you're going to have to take it off completely. Now on lawn tractors, that's not as big a deal because there's just 2 pins that slides out. There's not this extra bolt to take. In fact, the entire job can be done without any hand tools at all. This one, however, you will need to take that bolt off. So what I've got here is a 19 millimeter deep 3/8, and I have a swivel. And then I've got my 1/2 inch wrench and an extension. That is enough to get it up in there. And I'll get it set up there. I'll take a still frame, see how I've got it hooked up. But that's what you need. Once you got it on there, go ahead and remove that. Alright, so here's the tools again. I've got this thing undone, well, finger tight undone anyway. Go ahead and finish taking it loose. When you take the nut off, you'll see you've got your adjustment nut. Now the reason that was so far down was that this is what adjusts the front rake of your mowing deck. And there's a reason for that. You want to have it about, an inch lower in the front than you do in the rear. That just helps the operation of the mower deck. So we'll set that aside, and then if you reach your hand back up in there, there should also be this, which is a round on one side and squared on the other washer, and that helps. That's kind of a pivot point for that front, so it moves back and forth. So again, you want to hang on to that. Now the piece itself, you'll lift up, slide back, and slide out. It's got these 2 tabs. That's what's actually going into your mowing deck. Up here is your adjustment, which we just took loose. So I'm just going to slide those back on and thread those up. And we'll set that aside because we're going to need that again in the spring. You don't want to lose that or misplace that, so just set that aside. Okay, that's fairly simple, right? That's how we take care of the very front of it. The rest of this, I will use a pair of needle nose pliers on, but you can do it with your fingers if you're strong enough. And it's just a matter of removing 4 little pins. The pins look like this, and here are the locations. There's 2 on the front that look like this, and there's 2 in the rear that look like this. When we're done with that, we'll move the deck slightly forward. We'll be able to take the belt off of it, and then we'll move it back, and there's a little connecting rod that goes along the back side that looks like this, and that just kind of wiggles out. So let's get started. Okay, you actually got a view of both of them. This rod back here is your rear connection, and this right here is your front connection. I'm just going to pull these off, like so, and then pull that out. It should drop down. Not so bad, right? A little messy because of the condition here. I'll go ahead and do the rear one, and then we'll move to the other side. Okay, here's the rear. That wasn't so bad. Hang on to that. Pull your washer loose, and again, you let that dangle. Here's your other one for that connecting rod that goes across. We'll go ahead and take that loose. All right, we got that last pin loose, and there's a little washer we're going to have there. So let's take those and set them aside. Here's our little pile. God, what a mess. Guys, normally I keep my equipment in much better shape than this, but 2 weeks of shoveling chicken poo with no water available, yeah, things get dirty. Okay, so let's move to the other side. Same situation. Here's your front one here. Yeah, slide that out. Drop that down. And here's your rear. There we go. Take that off. Slide that free. Okay, now we're really getting there. Now, here's your drive belt. So all I'm going to do is push forward on the deck. See how I did that? And as a result, I've got plenty of slack to slide my belt off. And there it goes. So that was simple. Lastly, you've got this cross rod here. And as you can see, it just kind of slides out. So we'll set that aside as well. Okay, so here we are. We've got it free. We've taken 4 clips off, 2 on each side, plus an additional one that holds that cross member in. And we've dropped the belt down a little bit to get it out of the way. And we just took our 119mm bolt off, and that's it. This deck is free and clear. So it's just a matter of wiggling it out, which I'll need 2 hands to do. So I'm going to, again, stop the camera while I slide it out from underneath. Now, while you got your deck off, good time to grease any of the fittings that are there, check the belt condition, spin the spindles, make sure everything's looking good. If any work needs to be done, it's so much easier while it's off. Also, a good time to inspect your drive belt and make sure it's okay, because anytime the drive belt goes, you got to drop the deck anyway. So let me get this out of the way. There is one more thing I do on these, and I'll show you that once everything's free and clear. I'll lay back down on the floor and point upward with a couple of zip ties, and we'll wrap this thing up. And man, it's nasty, but like I said, nothing I can do about it right now. If we get a couple days in the 40s, the lines will thaw out enough I can wash this thing down before putting it into storage. Looked over the belt, looked over the pulleys, everything's looking good, so that's good to know. This mower's got about 220 hours on it, so things are holding up really well. I'm impressed. Now, back to the tractor. You've got your clips and your washers and stuff. Make sure to put that someplace safe for the winter. And let me lower it down here. Okay, so those 2 right there, I don't like to leave those dangling, so I'll just zip tie those to the frame here, and that'll just keep it in place for the winter. You can leave them dangling, I just don't like to. You can also take them off, but again, it's easy just to spend the 10 cents on some zip ties and hold it in place with those. So that is it. You have now learned how to drop the deck on your GT. And let me tell you something, you need to know how to drop the deck on your GT if you intend to use it for anything other than a lawnmower. Alright, so that wasn't so hard. We've got the deck out of the way. I've got everything strapped up and out of the way, which is also nice. And I'm ready to hook up my snowplow. Now, I do this 2 or 3 times a year. I take it off in the fall. Usually I turn the garden one more time, but that didn't get done this year. Now the ground is frozen, so it's a little too late for that. But I hook up the snowplow in the winter, and I plow with this thing all winter. And in the spring, before I take everything back off and put my deck back on, I do turn the garden, make my rows with moldboard plow, that kind of stuff. And I'll probably be doing that in the spring on video for you, so that's something to look forward to. For right now, it is ready for the snowplow. I'm going to go hook it up, and we're getting some snow here in the next couple of days, so there'll be a video at some point. Last year I did a review of the Craftsman snowplow I had hooked to this thing, but I didn't actually do a demonstration of it working in the snow. This year I promised to do that, okay?
If you have any questions on how I went about doing this or any comments, please feel free to leave them in the section below, and I will see you next time. Take care.